Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping in for a look at what our sources are calling a huge shift in consumer VR and mixed reality.
A really significant one.
Yeah, we got just a mountain of material from you all on the MetaQuest 3, specifically that big 512 GB edition.
Hmm.
And the consensus isn't just, that it's better. It seems to be that it's a whole reset for the category.
That's the key takeaway, isn't it? If
Mhm.
you're trying to figure out where immersive computing is heading, the Quest 3 is pretty much the flag bearer right now.
Okay.
So our mission today is to pull out the critical insights on why. Why is this shift happening? And the sources, they all seem to land on four big pillars.
More pillars, okay.
Yeah, you've got comfort and just the design of it, a huge spike in raw power, big gains in how good it looks, the visual fidelity, and then the most important one, real, actually usable mixed reality.
Let's start there then with the physical experience, even before we get to the tech inside.
Good idea.
The sources all stress this premium quality. The older headsets, let's be honest, they felt a bit like wearing a brick. So how did they crack that old comfort problem?
Well, they sort of attacked it from two angles.
Mm-hmm.
First is just weight distribution. It's a little heavier than the Quest 2, actually, but the weight is pulled in closer to your face, so there's less torque.
Oh, interesting.
But the real game changer is the optics. They switched from those old, bulky Fresnel lenses to something we call pancake optics.
Pancake optics.
Yeah, and that let them shrink the depth of the whole thing by 40%. It's just sleeker, less clunky.
And that's what makes the difference for long sessions.
That's it. That's the metric we care about, right?
Yeah.
For daily use. The discomfort factor is surprisingly low. It really feels like it moves the device from being a novelty you wear for 20 minutes to something you could actually use for an hour or two.
Okay, let's unpack that. Moving past the lenses, let's get to the engine. The sources are so clear on this. This is the most powerful Quest yet.
Without a doubt.
So for someone who follows this stuff, we need the specifics. We can't just say faster. What's driving this and what's the actual tangible difference for a user?
The difference is, well, it's substantial.
Yeah.
And you can quantify it by the chip. We're looking at the Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2.
Gen 2.
And this chip delivers a 2.5 times increase in GPU processing power.
2.5 times in a single generation. That is a gargantuan leap.
It's huge. And here's the insight the sources really get at. The power isn't just for, making textures look a little prettier.
Right.
It's about stable frame rates. It's about reliability. Older models would really struggle with complex stuff like deep shadows or mapping a dense room.
They'd stutter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The XR2 Gen 2 allows for these persistent frame rates even when it's doing complex work.
Yeah.
So the most demanding games and apps run smoothly, no stutters, no lag.
And that's the foundation of immersion.
It is the absolute foundation. The second the world lags, the spell is broken. You're out.
That makes total sense. But a jump like that, it has to come with a trade-off. Usually, more power means more heat, and it kills the battery life. Did the sources talk about that compromise?
They did, and you just hit on the biggest one. Heat and stamina. The battery life is described as solid. It gives you several hours of play.
But not a huge leap.
No, not a monumental leap over the Quest 2. The takeaway seems to be that Meta chose to prioritize performance and visuals over a longer battery. They're kind of forcing you toward battery straps or external packs for all-day use.
So it's a strategic choice.
It is. Focus on making the hours you do spend in it absolutely perfect, even if there are fewer of those hours.
Okay, so if performance is the engine, that takes us to the display tech that actually renders that world. The reviews get almost poetic here, saying it feels more like stepping into another world than just looking at a screen. Let's break down the tech behind that feeling.
This is where those pancake optics we mentioned earlier really pay off again. You couple them with a big bump in resolution, and the clarity is just. It's unheard of for a standalone consumer headset.
What are we talking about technically?
We're talking about an improvement in pixels per degree, or PPD.
PPD, right. For our listeners, that's the key metric for sharpness, yeah. It's not just total pixels, it's how sharp things look right where you're focusing.
Exactly. The Quest 2 was around 18 PPD. The Quest 3 gets you closer to 25.
That's a big jump.
A huge jump. And that higher PPD with the new lenses, it changes the game in two ways. First, it basically gets rid of the screen door effect.
That grid you used to see.
That visible grid is gone.
Yeah.
And second, the clarity isn't just in the dead center of your vision. The pancake lenses make sure it's sharp across the entire field of view. You're not constantly moving your head around to find that one sweet spot.
And that seamless clarity is what makes the virtual world feel real. If the edges are sharp, Your sense of scale and depth just goes way up.
It pulls you right in. And think about what that means for non-gaming stuff like reading text. If this is going to be a productivity tool, you have to be able to read without straining your eyes.
Good point.
The sources really highlight this. The Quest 3 is maybe the first standalone where productivity like reading long documents or managing virtual screens feels genuinely viable. The text is just that crisp.
So that visual leap is the bridge from it being a fun gadget to a potential workspace.
That's a perfect way to put it, yeah.
Which leads us right to the star of the show, mixed reality. The sources are all on the same page here. MR is where the Quest 3 really shines.
This is the whole ballgame.
It's not just a VR headset with a grainy camera anymore. How does it pull off that blend so seamlessly? What does MR even mean in this context?
Okay, yeah, we should define the term here. It's not just basic pass-through video. It's about spatial anchoring and object permanence.
Meaning digital things stay put in your real room?
Exactly. So if you place a virtual monitor on your real desk and you walk out of the room and come back.
It's still there, right where you left it.
Precisely. And the tech making that happen is the new pass-through camera system. We're talking high-resolution, full-color cameras with very low latency.
So no more grainy black and white security camera feed.
Gone.
Yeah.
Replaced by something that looks almost like your own eyes are seeing the room, just with digital stuff layered on top.
Okay, that immediately changes the use case. If I can clearly see my keyboard, my mouse, my coffee.
Yeah.
What non-gaming apps does that make possible?
The sources outline a few that are pretty revolutionary. First, you've got virtual collaboration. Imagine an architect standing in their actual office,
Okay.
but they pull up a full-scale 3D model of a building right in the middle of the room. They can walk around it, manipulate it with their hands.
Wow. And the other?
Multi-monitor workspaces. Why would you buy 3 physical monitors when you could just have 3 giant virtual 4K screens floating right above your desk?
All while you can still see your real keyboard and phone perfectly.
That's the fusion. That high-clarity blend of physical and digital, supported by that spatial anchoring. That's the insight. That's what elevates this from a game console to a real computing platform.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we shouldn't forget the controllers here. The tracking is so precise, and the controllers themselves just feel more natural. It makes interacting with all those digital objects feel intuitive, like you're really reaching out and grabbing something.
Enhancing that sense of presence.
Totally. It makes the digital overlay feel like it actually belongs in your physical space.
Okay, let's shift to the practical side of this, specifically the 512 gigabyte model. For anyone listening, value and capacity are huge. Why is that big storage so necessary for this generation?
Right. Practical knowledge is key. You can get the base model with less storage, but the 512 gig model is really about future-proofing your investment.
Because the apps are bigger now. So much bigger. We just talked about the jump in graphics. Higher fidelity means larger files, but it's also those new mixed reality apps. An MR app that has to spatially map your entire home and remember where you put things.
It's a storage hog.
A total storage hog. So the 512 gigs isn't a luxury, it's almost a necessity if you actually plan to use the ecosystem without constantly worrying about space.
No more deleting games just to try a new one?
Exactly. It lets you keep a big library of the really demanding stuff, the things that actually show off what the Quest 3 can do. It just removes all that friction.
And the sources point to some bundled content that helps justify the cost right away.
Yeah, they do. The inclusion of the game Batman, Arkham Shadow, is a really smart move.
Why that game specifically?
Because it's a perfect demonstration piece. It's not a simple arcade game. It's designed from the ground up to push the Quest 3's power. It's dark, it's atmospheric, it has complex physics.
So it proves the hardware can handle it.
It immediately proves that the headset can run these graphically rich worlds smoothly, all thanks to that new XR2 Gen 2 chip. And then there's more than just the one game, right? There's an invitation to explore.
Right. They bundle in a 3-month trial of MetaQuest plus Bread.
Which is their subscription service.
It is. It gives you a rotating library of games and apps. It's a great way to immediately lower that barrier to entry. It lets you try out the full range of experiences, fitness apps, creative tools, social stuff, without having to buy them all first.
It's an accelerator for adoption.
That's the perfect term for it.
So to synthesize all that, the Quest 3 gives you this incredible tech foundation, the power, the comfort, the visuals, and the 512 gig package gives you the storage and the content to actually use it all right away.
That is the overall assessment from all the sources, yeah.
So let's wrap up this deep dive. The consensus is, well, it's overwhelmingly clear. The MetaQuest 3 is powerful, It's versatile, and it offers a really impressive leap in comfort, performance, and true mixed reality.
It really redefines what standalone hardware can be.
An immersive and exciting experience for sure.
And that brings us to that final provocative thought for you to mull over. The sources don't just call the Quest 3 a headset. One called it a gateway to entirely new worlds. So given that seamless blend of physical and digital space we've been talking about, the bigger non-gaming question is this. How quickly do you think these MR tools will go from being just entertainment to being essential daily productivity infrastructure?
From fun to fundamental.
Exactly. What are the next non-gaming apps, maybe in, I don't know, medical training or remote industrial repair or even financial data visualization?
Yeah.
What are the apps that could fundamentally change how we work using a device like this?
That transformation, that's the real story here.
That's the real long-term insight.
Food for thought. Thank you for walking us through the data on this huge leap forward.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.